Hi, Scott Orland with CINEMA-Magazin. The movie is called The Hate You Give, and the man responsible for putting this on the screen is George Tillman Jr. Congratulations. As a director, what did you find so important for you that you needed this voice to kind of carry on in film?
I think what's the most important thing for me was just the ideal of identity, stand up for who you believe in, just as an African-American director working in Hollywood, sometimes you find yourself compromising or trying to make other people feel comfortable in rooms. And I just love that this character is being authentic to herself. She finally finds herself. This is one of the first movies for me where it's almost the characters are unapologetically black, but at the same time is universal for everyone. And I think it came because of the choices of just standing up for what you believe in, showing your truth, your honesty. And that's really what I loved about the character, about Star, with the support of her family, the support of her having a strong father, a strong mother, and this family goes through a lot of obstacles, but I just love how they just keep pushing through.
And I thought what was fascinating too, as an audience member watching, was this, where do I fit in? I mean, we see with Star that on one hand, and I think we've all gone through this in some context or another, how important was that to explore? Because she needs to be true to herself, but you also were like these chameleons. What does our crowd need us to be?
Yeah, that was a question early on when I was talking and developing the script, and I was talking to Angie Thomas, who wrote the novel, and I said Star has two versions. In the inner city world, she starred Star 1. In the white world at Williamson, she Star 2. Both of these versions, she's really good at navigating both until something happens that is facing her in the face, and what is she going to do? And I asked Angie, what version is she going to end up being, at the end of the day? Which says a lot about where we are. And Angie said something in the book. She could be a little bit of both. You can be a little bit of both of these things. And if you choose that, that's who you are, honestly. And I love that idea. I was just telling somebody I grew up, when I went to a public school and my parents moved me to a white public school as well. I used to love Public Enemy, the rap group, but I didn't want to tell anybody that I liked Tears for Fears. I was afraid to tell it. But why can't I love both? And that's really about standing up for what you believe in.
I think what's important about movies is their educational tools, that they take us to different locations, they give us insights into different ethnicities and cultures. And I think for a lot of people, especially this is for Germany, who are going to watch this, and the conversation that the father has to have with the children about, you are going to be stopped by the police, these are the necessary steps you need to take. For a lot of people outside the African American culture, maybe, oh, they do? They have to go through that? How important was that to kind of enlighten people about this?
That was important, and I think that was very important early on. That was a choice. In the middle of the book, the talk came in the middle of the novel, and Audrey Wells, one of the writers, moved it up at the top of the movie. And I thought it was very smart from a visual standpoint, but from emotional, letting the audience know that this is the world. This is the community that this family lives in, and these are the kind of obstacles that this family has to go through. It's completely different. Maybe it can be in an environment that some of the audience may not be used to, or in a completely different world that they come from. But it was off the bat to show what are the obstacles in a community that's with people who are working class, or people who's in poverty, or with the community that has issues with the police department. So that's something that was very early on, and most times you get that talk about the birds and the bees, as Angie Thomas said in the book. She didn't get the birds and the bees, she got the talk and how to survive around a police officer.
And I thought what was wonderful too was showing the father, that he really was the strength of the family. Mm-hmm. That a lot of times in these movies, there's all these other factors that kind of come into play, and this really shows that there can be a man present in these families.
Yes, one thing I noticed, especially films depicting African Americans from maybe mid-2000 to like the 80s, was 70% of those movies, they didn't have a father figure in the home. It was a single mom. I grew up with a father in my household. He worked for Chrysler. He made cars. He gave me the talk. He was very present. He had a very strong presence in the community. These are the things that I saw with Mav in the book that we wanted in this movie as well. That he has a street presence, he had a past, but he was reformed, and he's about his kids and moving things forward. That's the strongest relationship, I think, that was in the book that we wanted to carry over into the movie. And that just feels something that feels fresh in movies. It's something that's every day that you see in the neighborhoods and in any inner city that you see, there are presidents, father who is present and doing a great job.
You mentioned earlier the title character is named Star, so let's talk about your star of the movie. What qualities did you need to embody to bring this particular character to life?
I think the idea to be present in the sense of always caring for this character. When I first met her, I was just blown away how she was reading the book early on. It wasn't even published, and she had it, and she was dedicated. And she'd been through that experience as well. But it's an immediate sense that you immediately want to take care of her. You immediately care and identify with her. And a lot of that is just her eyes and her presence and how she takes in things. And that was the immediate thing that you had to have, that charisma and that caring ability for the role. One of the things I just loved about her was that she's in every frame of the movie, in every scene, and the ideal of all these ranges and these emotions, it really do feel like a teenager because she was 18 when we shot the movie. And that's the most important thing I felt that she brought to the role.
Well, thank you for bringing the love that you gave to this
Thank you.
movie. George Tillman, this is Scott Orland. Until next time.
Thank you.